I listen to a lot of music from a lot of different artists, but there's one band that I think is extremely underrated and are being slept on by a lot of people. That band is Third Eye Blind. You're probably thinking that name sounds familiar, and it should. You've 100% heard songs from them before, and most of you might even have a song of theirs in a playlist and don't even know it. So then why are they so underrated? Well, that comes down to the fact that they haven't had commercial success since the release of their second album in 1999. Their most popular songs, which are most likely the ones you've been exposed to, are Jumper, Semi-Charmed Life, Graduate, Never Let You Go, and How's It Gonna Be? So what makes them so special? Many bands have had a handful of really popular songs but were never remembered. Well, what if I told you that 4 of those 5 songs that I just listed are from their debut album? Quick history lesson here. Third Eye Blind's self-titled debut album released in 1997 and consisted of 14 songs. The album became certified platinum 6 times, which means it sold over 6 million copies. So with clearly a lot of people enjoying their music, what went wrong? As far as I can tell, they faded out of the spotlight pretty quickly after their early success, at no fault of their own. Put simply, no one cared anymore. They still make music to this day and have never come close to their popularity in '97. But let's back up a second so I can tell you what you're missing out on with each of these albums, which they've released 9 studio albums, with their most recent one coming out just last year. I can count all the songs that I dislike from them on one hand, which isn't even something I can say about my favorite band, Green Day. Of the 14 songs on the original debut album, I like all the songs. I think 11 of them are great, and I consider 5 of them to be masterpieces. Those being Semi-Charmed Life, Jumper, Losing a Whole Year, The Background, and Motorcycle Drive-By. Narcolepsy, Graduate, How's It Going to Be, I Want You, and God of Wine also deserve recognition. This is my favorite album of theirs, and I would recommend listening to it from beginning to end. Their second album, Blue, released 2 years after their first and had 13 songs. The only one I didn't like off this one was The Red Summer Sun, but other than that, I'd say there are plenty of solid tracks here. Wounded is definitely my favorite, with Deep Inside of You, 10 Days Late, Never Let You Go, Camouflage, Slow Motion, and Darkness also being standouts. I think this album in particular is a bit more subjective than the others, but still absolutely worth giving a listen. Considered by most to be the best album, 2003's Out of Vain I think flows the best start to finish. The individual song quality is definitely a step up from Blue, and you can rightfully debate with their debut album which is best. Blinded, Forget Myself, Crystal Baller, and Palm Reader are my picks for the best ones here, with Another Life taking the spot as my favorite. And if you like those, check out Faster, Danger, My Hit and Run, Misfits, and Wake for Young Souls. Returning in 2009 with Ursa Major, this is the album that gets the least amount of attention in my opinion. Tao of St. Paul is easily my favorite, and I'd say the best one here. Bonfire, Sharp Knife, About to Break, Summertown, and Monotov's Private Opera are the other solid tracks. I couldn't really get into Waterlanding, and Why Can't You Be is alright, but I know many others really like them. There was also a single in 2008, Red Star, which you do not want to pass on. Another long break goes by, and 2015 brings us a great single, Mine, and their 5th album, Dopamine. I've recently started appreciating this album more, really liking Everything Is Easy, Shipboard Cook, All the Souls, Dopamine, Get Me Out of Here, Blade, and Say It. I think this album has 3 masterpieces back to back, Rites of Passage, Back to Zero, and Something in You. 1 year later, we get a short 7-song album, We Are Drugs. Company of Strangers, Queen of Daydreams, Don't Give In, Isn't It Pretty, Weightless, and Cop vs. Phone Girl are all top tier, with Sherry as a Stoner being the only song I'm not a fan of. 2017 saw the 20th anniversary of their debut album and gave us an updated version of Graduate, along with bonus tracks of Alright Caroline, Scattered, and Tattoo of the Sun, which technically came out in 2006 in their collection album. In 2018, they released a small cover album with 7 songs, all of them being good if not great. Then in 2019, we see the return of the studio album in Screamer. Tropic Scorpio is my favorite here, and all the other ones are also worth giving a listen, except for 2 Times Tigers. I'm not a fan of that one, and I honestly couldn't tell you what they were thinking. In 2020, all we got was a single, Disorder, which is actually pretty good. Then in 2021, the 9th album, Our Band Apart, comes out. To the Sea is the only one you can pass on, but everything else here is quite amazing. I would absolutely listen to this one last, as I feel like this album is a bit more of an acquired taste than the others. But at the very least, listen to Dust Storm, which has grown to be my favorite. And finally, we get to 2022, where very recently they released an acoustic album called Unplugged. This sounds like a love letter to the fans and just makes me want the rest of their songs in acoustic form. And that is practically the complete discography of Third Eye Blind. Do yourself a favor and at the very least listen to their debut album start to finish, or listen to my favorites from each album that I listed. Worst case, you waste about an hour, which I'd bet against, and at best, you just found a gold mine of over 7 hours of new music. I hope you enjoyed this new type of video, and let me know if you want to see more. See you next time when I rank all the DC AMU movies for real this time.